Where the hell is this guy?
Ian, where are you?
Cut. Dave, what are you doing here?
What am I doing here? What are you doing here? You got me going all over the state. You're 2 hours late for work. It's busy. The creamery's opening up. I need you back at work, Ian.
Dave, I'm tired of that. I don't want to do that anymore. We're going to be wicked famous. We started a podcast here. People want to hear me talk.
People want to hear you talk. That's the last thing they want to do, Ian. Come on.
I mean, he's kind of got a point.
True. Fellas, you're supposed to be on my side here. Listen, I got a wicked good idea. Headphones on. Dave, take a seat.
I don't know about that. No, I don't think so.
You're going to be my next podcast guest.
No, last time I was a leprechaun.
Okay, number one, you're welcome, because leprechauns are awesome. Will you just sit down? Nothing's going to happen. It's a couch. Come on, here we go. We're going to really dive in deep here.
Good friggin' morning from New England, folks, and welcome back to the So New England podcast. We are in the studio today recording episode 3, and I'm very excited for this guest. So without further ado, RJ, why don't you introduce who we've got with us today?
I've been working on this, so give me some patience here. There's nothing quite like the taste of delicious, straight from the source seafood. Whether you want to dine in, take out, or have it shipped directly to you, our guest today has the answer. With 3 beautiful locations in Rhode Island, including a food truck serving up his delicious, award-winning clam cakes, chowder, and doughboys. You might recognize him from shooting TikToks with our host here, or from his signature phrase, "It's always summer at Iggy's." Our guest today, Rhode Island's very own president, CEO, and social media superstar, Iggy's RI, Dave.
Dave, my man.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. I've been really excited all week to be here. So.
Absolutely. Welcome into the studio.
Thank you.
My gosh. I mean, so many people are definitely going to know who you are because we've had so much fun filming our videos. But my hopes with our podcast today is to really get to dive in a bit more about you, your background, how Iggy's got started. So why don't you start from square one? Tell us how Iggy's came about.
Well, I've always had a passion for like business and cooking. But when I was a kid, I was a paper boy. So, I started off with one route, and then I started taking over multiple routes in the neighborhood. And it got so big, I needed a transportation way of getting the papers out more. So I bought a moped, and I used the moped to deliver the papers, so I was productive and efficient. So, I ended up having like 10 routes. And on Sunday, my mom would help me or my dad would help me with the car because the Sunday papers were so thick back then.
Right.
So we were delivering them all throughout the whole neighborhood and across the street in the other neighborhoods. And then when I was in junior high school, they used to call me the Candy Man. I would sell candy. So I would go to these wholesale stores and buy candy in bulk, and I started selling it, and I became like known as the Candy Man, and I would take special orders, and I would be coming in with like a bag of candy, and I got in trouble a few times with the principal, but
Hey,
it was like my start
buck.
for me being this a business person. Growing up in an Italian family, lots of cooking, lots of homemade meals, and my mom was always passionate about cooking, and I was passionate about cooking. I went to vocational school in high school, and then I went to Johnson & Wales, and I got my associates in culinary arts, and then I got my bachelor's in food service management.
Nice.
Crap, that's awesome.
So, I've been always in the restaurant business, and then, my dad, believe it or not, my dad was a hairdresser.
Oh, okay.
So, he had his own hairdressing shop with his brother, Rico, in Cranston. And, growing up, he needed a part-time job. So he started working at the Doughboy stand, as we'd call it in Oakland Beach. He actually worked for the original owner when it was Gus's and Mrs. Gus's.
Yep.
And then another gentleman named Southern Giroux bought it. So then my father started working for him. So then my dad asked me, I was like 14 years old, Dave, I said, Dad, I want to come down to the shack and start cooking in the restaurant. So he got me a job there, and I started working as a dishwasher. And then, after 2 years, the guy Southern said, I hate the Doughboy Shack. I think you and your father and your mom and your family, you guys should just take it over because it's nothing but a pain. You got to remember, back then it was small.
Right.
It was
What year was this?
This was in 1989.
Okay.
So when we took it over and changed the name, it was 1989, but I worked there 2 years before that.
Right.
And you got to remember, it was just a big shed.
Right.
It was only 30 by 13.
Right.
Oh.
And it wasn't set up like a restaurant. It was like a
Yeah.
shed. I mean, it wasn't commercialized inside. So, I mean, it was pretty tough.
Yeah, and it's actually cool when you're in the restaurant. I know you've only been a few times, but whenever you're in the restaurant, there's pictures, so you can see the original and I love that. I think it's really cool to see the history. So I just figured I'd point that out. But okay, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So, when the guy Southern approached us and said, listen, you guys need to take it over, and it was just selling doughboys, and it was selling clam cakes, and it was selling red chowder. A couple other small items. So, yeah, there was...
sorry.
We know how you feel about red chowder. So, when we took it over, we needed a name. And I said, Dad, why don't we just call it your nickname? Because as kids, we'd call him Iggy. His license plate was IG6.
Okay.
So as a kid, I would always call him Iggy. Hey, Iggy. He used to get mad, chase me around the house with a belt. You call me Dad, you don't call me Iggy. So not only did he get this nickname from us, everybody that knew him and family members, we all started calling him Iggy. So when we took over the place in 1989, we needed a name. I said we should call it Iggy's, and here we are, 35 years later, and it's really taken the name. So
Yeah, that's
a
beautiful.
staple of the community.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I know. I work in Connecticut, and I kind of live down there. Not kind of. I do. I live down there.
Yeah, what's kind of?
Sorry, I don't know. I'm still Rhode Island.
He doesn't own it because he's from Connecticut.
Yeah,
so
my bad.
I wouldn't either.
That's not the point. When I was talking to people at work over the last couple of days, when we found out you were joining us tonight, they all knew what it was too.
Right.
And I thought that was so cool. I was like, that's great. That's a great name.
World renowned.
I've always
Everybody
known
knows
it.
you.
So that's
yeah,
great.
the name is really, the name's taken, and it's been so popular, and it's, my father's name, we would always call him Iggy. He ended up, it was Iggy, and he passed away. When I was in my senior year of college, it was only 5 years in. It was only 5 years into Iggy's. So we had this small shack in '89 that we opened. We had this red chowder that was my mother's recipe that is phenomenal, and we still use my mom's recipe to this day. And we had a hot dog, we had some fries, and we had like a meatball sandwich. So, the business kept growing and growing. Every year it was getting busier and busier, and the name kept taking.
Yeah.
Now, you got to remember, right next door to us was Rocky Point Chowder House, like 4 miles away.
Right.
Rocky Point was big back then.
Right.
And, when they ended up closing in the early 90s, that really catapulted Iggy's to another level, because not only were we busy, people still wanted their New England fixes. And
Absolutely.
Oakland Beach
Right.
became that much more popular.
Yep.
And what's so funny too is, I feel like anyone who's not from Rhode Island may not totally get this, but Rhode Island's so unique in the fact that people are so tight knit in their community and in their area, right? So there are people that I talk to, and they're like, "Oh, I go to Iggy's over in Narragansett." I'm like, "Oh, well, why don't you go to the one at Oakland Beach?" And they're like, "There's more locations?" Well, yeah, if you ventured 5 miles outside of your home radius, you would know that. But so tell us, how did Gansett come about? When did that start? What year? And what kind of what was the decision that made you kind of be like, "Oh, this is a good area"? Is it because it's beachy and stuff like that, or?
Well, when we were originally started in Oakland Beach in 1989, it was a small shack, and my father did it part-time, and then when I was in my senior year of college, he got sick, and then I was graduating from my bachelor's at Johnson & Wales, and I wasn't going to do this. I wasn't going to do the shack. I was going to go work for a big hotel chain or a restaurant chain, and then go back and get my master's at Johnson & Wales. That's what I did really well, and I excelled. So when my dad was sick, he said, "Dave, promise me nothing happens to the shack. You're going to continue to take it over." And I'm like, "Dad, you're a hairdresser. Mom's a crossing guard. You do this part-time. It's not like it's this big thing. We don't even own the building."
Right.
So he said, "No, promise me nothing happens to the business." And so I made that promise, and it's kind of been my passion and my drive behind the whole success story of Iggy's, along with, my mom, my brother, my sister. It was a family, whole family ordeal and experience of all of us working. But I really was gung-ho about, the Iggy brand. And I always had this vision of taking the Chowdah House and making it into this massive kitchen. And that's what we ended up doing. So along the way, I would always go down and check out all the other clam shacks. Like I'd go to George's, I'd go to Aunt Carrie's, I'd go up to Maine and check out the clam shacks because I always wanted to see what they were doing that I wasn't doing and, learn from it. But Aunt Carrie's she was so big back then.
Right.
So I was like, someday I'm going to want to open a place down in Narragansett. It's 30 miles away. And I said, maybe I could find a building. So I found a building down there, but it was rented. So I went and found out who owned it, and I went and talked to him, and I said, if this building ever comes up for rent, I'd like to rent it. I told him who I was. I gave him my number, and sure enough, a few years later, it came up for rent. So Narragansett opened in 2000. It's actually going on 24 years right now. It's our 25th season down there, 24 years.
Right.
So when we opened that, it was the same thing. It was a small little shack, broken down building that was never meant to be like a commercial kitchen.
Right.
So the same thing happened down there. We grew it. We did a lot of advertising. We added all the menu items, the burgers, the hot dogs, the sandwiches, the chowder, the clam cakes, and all like the seafood dinners. But down there's a little bit different because you're getting so many people from out of state. Tons of people from New York, Connecticut. A lot of people from all over the place. You got Newport only 20 minutes away. So many people are coming to that area that never came to Oakland Beach. So it actually helped my Warwick store get busier.
Right.
Because, oh, wow, you got an original store in Oakland Beach.
Right.
And to answer your question, to this day, we get people from Cranston.
Right.
Oh, we've never been here before.
Crazy.
I mean, we're talking 8 miles.
I think we found our moment right there. That's so New England.
That's so New England.
So New England.
Literally, Cranston, 5 minutes up the road, they had no idea that literally a shack that started in 89 that's been there for how many total years is that now? So that's what?
35 years.
35 years.
This year in Warwick.
There's my math. Can we clip that? I don't want anyone to know that I'm not good at math. Okay, so 35 years later, and there's people from Cranston who still don't even know.
There's people from Providence. There's people from all over that never been there before.
Right.
So it's
That's
great. I
mind-blowing.
mean, there's still a lot of potential to grow the business.
Right.
Narragansett, there's people coming in from all over the world. So it's just been great. And, that's how the boardwalk came to be.
Well, that's what I was going to ask because it's so interesting that you have so much growth and expansion, right?
Yeah.
But as a business owner in a small state like this, where it is so difficult to keep your doors open, you've now like 35 years, you just survived the pandemic. Mm-hmm. You've got multiple locations. You've expanded your brand as far as marketing is concerned. And as you delve into Goldbelly. I went on vacation to Arizona and I have family members who no longer live in Rhode Island. They're like, oh, can you bring Iggy's? I was like, well, I'm not going to bring it on the plane. And Dave's like, don't worry about it. I'll overnight it to you because Goldbelly offers the ability for you to send all of these fresh, amazing products. And a lot of Rhode Islanders retire over to the West Coast, Arizona, and they go down to Florida. Mm-hmm. Again, so New England. And they want to still have a taste of home. And now they have that ability. So talk to me about like what that's like as a business owner to try and constantly reinvent yourself while also knowing that your staple community of Rhode Island kind of still wants that authentic, original Iggy's experience. How do you balance that? How did you get through COVID? What is that experience like for you as a business owner?
When COVID hit, it was like, it was like nothing we ever seen before. So we didn't know what was going to happen. I was this close to closing the shacks.
Right.
Because everyone was nervous. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Is the world coming to an end or whatever?
Right.
So we shut down the boardwalk, this full service restaurant, because, we weren't doing a lot of takeout there anyway. So I said, you know what, let's keep the shacks open so I'll take out. And, I'm glad I did because when COVID happened, we were never this busy. Like we were so busy because so many places shut down and everyone was staying home. Everyone was just getting takeout. So we blew up. It was almost like we reinvented the brand again because so many people came down that weren't coming down or they would only come down once a year. Now we're getting all the people from Rhode Island. We were getting people from New York. You got to remember, New York completely shut down.
Yeah.
Yep.
So many people are crossing over, Connecticut and New York coming over for takeout.
Literally the worst thing ever. I'm glad that it helped you, Dave, but I could not stand the New York. I'm not going to lose it. Sorry. I'm sorry. Continue. The New York is in the traffic.
Ian.
I'm sorry. I know.
Everyone gets clam cakes. Even if you're from California, you cross over, you're coming over.
I don't mind sharing my clam cakes and my chowders with everyone, but New Yorkers, get your own. leave us be, okay? Stay off my road. Stay out of my chowder houses.
So
Sorry, Dave.
That's okay. Getting back to Goldbelly, we always shipped. So many people, like you said, were on the West Coast or in Florida. We always shipped our clam cakes, our doughboys, or our chowder would overnight air it.
Oh, okay.
But if you were in California and you wanted a half a gallon or a gallon of chowder, it would cost you the $20 or $25 for the chowder, but it's going to cost you $150 for shipping.
Yeah, oh, that's true
So,
because overnight.
Goldbelly came along, and they got this unique way of doing shipping where they can, because of the way they buy and how many restaurants are on their site, they can actually ship it to you for like $20 or $30 besides the product.
Right.
So we got on Goldbelly, and that was a game changer. We've hit every single state multiple times in this
That's
country.
huge.
I love
With
that.
our staple items. So you got the chowder, the clam cakes, the doughboys, the fried calamari, the stuffies, and then we have our lobster bomb, which is in the boardwalk, which
Yep.
is a bread bowl with a pound and a half of lobster meat with our fresh lobster bisque.
Boy, I'm getting hungry now.
So
You're saying all this
right.
stuff. You got my
Couple
boy
more
over here getting
questions.
goosebumps right now. You say a little lobster roll, you're gonna get him getting all sort of frisky in here.
Don't start talking dirty.
So
to
that
me
was a
about the
game
seafood.
changer. And,
Yeah.
then also during the pandemic, you had all these apps come out. Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats.
Right.
And those are all continuing now, and things have changed a little bit. There's a lot
Right.
of people that use, a lot of customers use the apps.
Right.
A lot of people don't come out as often as they used to.
Yeah.
I mean, things are back to normal, but I wouldn't say 100% normal.
Yeah.
There's some people that
What
just
is
don't
normal?
wanna
I was gonna
come
say
out.
that's probably a new
They
norm
call it the new
now.
norm, right? Yeah.
Where instead of them coming in more, there's probably more of an influx of DoorDash, Grubhub, Postmates, all that stuff, Uber Eats, and you're doing probably more of that, less in the restaurants, in the shacks, but still doing good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of both. I mean,
I can only imagine.
last year, I mean, the weather wasn't great. It rained almost every weekend. But I mean, overall,
Dave, you told me not to yell, but you're really getting me going with these New Yorkers and this rain. About to go into slip into character here.
the last two seasons, and I'm hoping for this season to be a great one. But the last two seasons, things got back to normal a little bit. But you're right, a lot of people still like to use the apps, and a lot of people just still want takeout. And we're built for takeout. Both the shacks,
Yeah.
Narragansett and Warwick, are designed to do takeout. I mean, we can feed anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 people a day out of each shack.
Wow,
So
that's awesome.
it gets really busy.
And, you know, I think it's important. You brought up when you said that how many people that you feed there. I think it's important for a lot of people because I know this from working with you guys and working with you specifically, just how amazing of a person you are. Take a quick opportunity here to kind of tell everyone about the things that Iggy does for its community. I know you have a lot of food drives that you participate in. Around the holidays, you're feeding people. You got the Meals on Wheels, right? Am I saying that correctly?
Not so much the Meals on
Okay,
Wheels.
sorry.
We're doing Plates for Purpose.
Plates for Purpose, excuse me.
So
Okay.
that's similar
Yeah,
to
similar
Meals on
structure,
Wheels.
yep.
So we'll donate certain dinners and certain meals to the communities, and then to the organization, and they put them in the right places where they need to be.
Right.
It's been great with the boardwalk having the full service restaurant because we open our doors for Veterans Day. We give anyone that's a veteran free breakfast. We open our doors on Thanksgiving. We team up with Hendricken and Ripta, and we bus everybody in, and we give them free Thanksgiving dinner.
That's awesome.
We do a lot of donations with gift cards and food, and you know, I try to help out the community that's been so good to us.
Yeah.
And it's very important. The giving back to the community is super, super important. And, you know, I'm fortunate that we've been so successful that we can do that.
Yeah. And I just think, you know, again, I hate to keep beating the drum here, but, you know, in Rhode Island, with the small communities that we have, with the small businesses that are struggling and thriving, you are a small business that has expanded, and people look at you as more of an empire because you have 3 locations. You are a staple of the community. But again, it is so important for people to know just how much you do value their business, and you are doing things to ensure that the community that has supported you is receiving the same love and support back. So, you know, I just think what you're doing with that is so great. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people that hopefully are tuning in might know how they can share this information so that people who might be in need of, you know, these meals or a hot plate dinner for Thanksgiving, you know, can you know, share that information.
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day. I mean, I think
Veterans
that's
Day,
great.
Thanksgiving, and, you know, it's a whole team effort. I can't take all the credit. I mean, the employees, our team, are great, and without the team, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. I mean, that's probably one of my biggest things that I love is the team of employees and managers that we have. And a lot of them have been with me a long time. They start off as their first job, second job, and we mold them, we coach them, and they stay with us through, high school and college, and some of them even after college are still with us. And we can't do it without them. You can dream it. You can have the best ideas in the world. If you can't implement them, they're nothing but dreams.
Right.
You got to make the dream a reality.
Oh boy, I'm gonna run through a wall right now, Dave. You're getting me excited here.
I was gonna say that the few
A
times
motivational
that I've
speaker.
gone, I feel like a lot of people have there. Obviously, I'm never spent enough time there to get super acclimated. I don't go chefing back there, but everyone's always so happy. They're always pleasant. They always greet you with a big smile. And I think I've been there maybe half a dozen times through growing up in Westerly, Misquamicut area, up that way, coming to visit him, stuff like that, living up there with you, the whole shebang. But everyone is always so happy when you go there. They're so pleasant, and I feel like that stems from the top down in any organization, small business, or even just here with us doing this. I worked in banking for 8 years, and that's how I always felt. If you're the top's up, it's doing good, everyone on the bottom, not really on the bottom, but you know what I mean. They're going to be doing good too, and that shows.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, and I for me, like I said, I'm very passionate about Iggy's. I mean, it means so much to me. That promise that I made my dad, and that it's been my passion and my drive to get to where we are. I don't feel I'm at work. I love to work. I mean, I'm there 6 days,
I was
day
going to
and
say,
night.
I overheard you say that.
6 days a week.
I don't know who you were talking to. I
day
was
and
doing
night.
something, but I heard you say that, and I was like, wow.
And it's I feel like it's not work because I love it, and I try to coach my employees the same way. I mean, because let's face it, the restaurant business isn't for everyone.
It's tough.
So the ones that I see something in, and the ones I feel I can mold and coach, I just try to give them my personality, and hopefully they can have that same personality for themselves in the business.
Yeah.
It comes with sacrifice. I have two kids. When they were young. I didn't see him as much, and it's a sacrifice. Being in the position I am and having the multiple restaurants, having over 200 employees is not easy. We started with 5 employees, 5 family members.
Right.
And now we've grown to over 225 employees.
That's awesome.
Between the 3 stores and the food truck.
So so before we get to the food truck, how did the boardwalk come about? Because, growing up, obviously, my mom's from Warwick, and, she's all about her Warwick upbringings and her roots. But I know that there used to be, more restaurants over there, but now it's the boardwalk. So how did the boardwalk come up? That was unique. And I know that there's a fun story in there.
There's a really cool story.
So let's hear that. I'd love to know more.
Iggy's, the original Iggy's, is in the oldest beach stand in Rhode Island. 1924, when it was Mrs. Gus's, all the way to now being Iggy's. 100 years it's been there. It was the oldest beach stand, and it was actually the ticket booth for the Whiz roller coaster that was in that parking lot.
How cool.
There was a
So
hotel
cool.
down in Oakland Beach. There was an amusement park of roller coasters, carousels, bumper cars, wax museums.
Wow.
So Oakland Beach had this huge, even before Rocky Point.
Yeah.
I mean, it had this huge amusement area.
Yeah.
What do you think of when you think of amusements? Boardwalks,
Right.
ice cream, lemonade,
Absolutely.
food. So our customer base over all the years kept saying, we love Iggy's, but I'm old. I want a waitress. We want to sit at a table, and we don't want to have to go through the line. Now, the line's an experience, and we can get to that. The line is an experience.
Yep. The
But-
wall. Once it's back to the wall.
So many people kept saying, Dave, when are you going to do a sit-down place? Why can't you do more dinners like lobster dinners and chicken and veal and, other dishes? So there was a need for it, and I always knew I wanted to do like a sit-down restaurant, offer shore dinners, offer lobsters, and offer like some pasta dishes. So, the time was right after I was renting it to Molly's for many years, the boardwalk.
Yeah.
And then she was on Bar Rescue with John Taffer, and we'll get to that too if you really want to.
John.
But as far as
I'm a
like,
big Bar Rescue
I
guy.
knew I wanted to do a restaurant in there, but she had a lease. But she
Yeah.
came to me a year after, 6 months after the Bar Rescue episode, and said, Dave, this restaurant business is so tough. You know, would you let me out of the lease? Now, most people would say, no, I'm not going to let you out of the lease. I felt bad for her. I let her out of the lease. You know, it wasn't, she got into this way over her head. She ended up having a partner, and then that fell through. So I let her out of the lease, and then we renovated it for the boardwalk.
Oh, okay.
We gutted the whole building. We renovated it, and we opened it in 2015.
Okay.
So we're celebrating 9 years at the boardwalk. This is our 10th summer. It goes by fast. So when we did the boardwalk, we did a full-service version of Iggy's. The staple items, chowder, clam cakes, doughboys, lobster rolls, fish and chips. You can get all that there. But you can also get seafood pasta. You can get a baked seafood platter. You can get lobster dinners. If you don't like seafood, we have great chicken parm. We have great veal parm, pasta.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's nice. So there's something for everyone. And we wanted to, you know, incorporate this whole boardwalk feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So we designed all the back and the patios to feel like you were on a Jersey Shore boardwalk.
Ooh, shout out Jersey Shore.
Let Dave
Okay,
finish.
sorry.
So, and we
Jersey
also...
Shore guy. I just figured. Okay.
That's great.
It's not New England.
Sorry.
We incorporated the creamery
Coliseum.
into it.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's a shout out.
Shout out the Coliseum. Okay.
Oh, no.
So we incorporated a creamery in the front of the building.
Oh,
and,
God, I love that ice cream.
We actually franchised the Dell's Lemonade.
Oh,
and
we
sell
love Dell's.
Lemonade there too. So Rhode Island things. I also, you know, incorporated a lot of Rhode Island other businesses with my business. You got Dell's Lemonade, Portion Meats in Providence. They do all my burgers.
Ooh, okay.
Yacht Club Soda.
Shout out Portion Meats.
Yacht Club Soda, staple soda for Rhode Island.
Yep.
All the local seafood guys, you know, they've been great to us. The produce guys, a lot of local people.
I swear one time I saw your pants were hiked up to your knees and you were grabbing lobsters out of the ocean on Oakland Beach.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember that, Kate? I feel like that was, and just so you guys know, a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that is rolling on a regular basis is because of Kate, who refuses to come on camera today. But shout out to Kate for her amazing work at Iggy's. Also,
Yeah, big shout out for Kate. I mean,
Yes,
she
big shout out for
definitely
Kate.
behind the scenes, and she does so much for the brand.
Yeah.
so much.
rapid fire, though.
As all the other managers and the team members, without them, like I said,
yeah,
we wouldn't be on this couch right now talking about this.
rapid fire. Dells. Do you do a pretzel in your Dells personally? This is your personal preference.
I don't do a pretzel. in the
Okay.
Dells.
How about lemon or
maybe
watermelon?
maybe a doughboy in the Dells?
Oh my God, I am
This
so
is the
hungry.
hardest podcast.
Yeah, this is like
we've done.
you got my boy is sweating right
I'm
now. I can
dripping.
feel it.
I like lemon better.
Lemon better than watermelon. Okay, and straw or no straw?
No straw.
You heard it here first.
Never
Clip
a
that.
straw.
No straw in your Dells ever.
Ever. No straw.
Okay.
Never.
All right. So where were we? Okay. So you had no pants on and you were getting lobsters out of the ocean.
Yeah.
That's where we left off, right?
Sounds
Or
about
did he
right.
have pants on and they were hiked up?
I think he had no pants on.
Okay. Cool. Anyways.
Pants
Oh,
on.
I know. I was running. I
you're-
was running pretty quick. Get my cardio in.
So you're supporting all these amazing local businesses at the boardwalk, and you're featuring all of these incredible companies. You also have, it's more of an experience at the boardwalk because it allows you to be down on the Oakland Beach area in the summer, but it's not just that, because you've got an awesome gazebo bar in the back. You've got live music that comes by. You have your own beach area where people can sit in those nice, beautiful Adirondacks chairs. Every once in a while, you might see me whizzing through, screaming, making TikToks, forcing Dave to do things he doesn't want to do in front of his customers. It's a whole experience. But so what was the process of, like, was the gazebo bar always there? Did you include that after?
They when it was Molly's, they had like this tiki bar outside. They had
Okay.
a little like shed, and you know, I always wanted to. I think when I say a carousel or gazebo bar, I think of a carousel.
Right.
So the whole boardwalk, you know, in my mind, my crazy mind, I was thinking the boardwalk with the ice cream, the lemonade, a carousel bar, you know, the Adirondack chairs that you were talking about, and just that fun vibe.
Yeah.
We also do weddings there too, Ian. Right
This
in the
is true.
sand. We set up a big tent and we do weddings up to 150 people.
This is so true. Don't get any ideas, but you know.
I'm already married.
Anyways, sorry. Continue.
So I mean, you know, the boardwalk's been a big hit for us, and
Yeah.
it gives me a chance to talk to the customers more.
Yeah.
In the shack, you know, everyone's in line. You do see them, but you miss. You don't get to see everyone because it's so busy.
Yeah.
in the boardwalk, I like going around to all the tables, and as we say, we like to
Absolutely.
touch the table.
Right.
Where they're talking to the customers. Sometimes you'll see me sitting down. I'll be sitting down with the customers because I become so friendly
You hear that, Kate?
with my customers.
Sitting
I
down
love
on the
them.
job must be nice. This guy, unbelievable.
I was gonna say that says a lot about you too, because sometimes when you go to restaurants, it's kind of hit or miss. When I go to a nice restaurant or I'm out somewhere really nice, and someone comes over just to check in, and it's not your typical waiter, that says a lot about that person. So for you to go in and sit down, I mean, long time ago, I had one guy at Applebee's, and I would always ask. To
I was gonna
sit.
say, what's the nice? What's your nice
Well,
experience?
not- this
Applebee's
isn't-
or
this
TGI
is-
Fridays?
TGI Fridays.
He goes where there's a half off apps. This guy.
All you can eat apps.
All you can eat apps.
No, but the reason I would go to see him is because he would come in, sit in the booth, and be like, "How are you?" It was never, the first question wasn't, "What can I get for you?" It was always, "How are you? How's everything?" Like, you build that rapport, and people want to come back and see you. And if you're gonna eat dinner with them, oh yeah, I want to come. You never know.
Absolutely.
They love my customers love to talk and see how I'm doing. I like to see how they're doing.
New Englanders
I mean,
love to
actually,
talk, huh?
customers come in and ask about Ian too. Like,
I can
where's
imagine.
Ian? Where's Ian? They
Oh.
want to see Ian too.
Oh,
so-
absolutely.
Those questions are coming,
You gotta,
don't
you
you
gotta
worry.
have a good story. I mean, listen, I've been there. Okay, we're back. We were having a little bit of a technical difficulty. Let's pick up where we left off.
My bad.
So,
My bad.
One thing I wanted to know is because I've seen firsthand that you sit down, you interact with all of your customers on a regular basis. You must have some funny stories or something good that's happened. What does a typical interaction look like with the customers when you sit down? Because I've seen a lot of characters over there in that Oakland Beach area, and I know that they're great, loyal customers. But anything funny to tell us?
Well, like I have some customers that are from other countries,
Yeah.
and they have businesses here or they have family here, so they're back and forth. So I love chatting with them, and they love chatting with me because they're not always in the country,
Right.
And they'll tell me about Greece, or they'll tell me about Italy, and then we'll start talking about Rhode Island, and we've
Right.
been talking all about. It's a funny story lately for the last 10 months is talking about the weather because besides for the last couple of days, it's been raining for 10
Yeah,
months.
it
No,
really
it's been
has.
raining for
It
10
really
months.
has.
Non-stop.
It's been unbelievable.
The stories though are great because they're just real people, and they want to tell you their problems or tell you about their grandchildren or their family, and I have a lot of customers that I know on a first name basis now, and for me it's just great. It's so rewarding that I can do this now and sit down and talk with them, chat with my customers, coach my team. My team coaches me actually too when I say that because I'm still learning. I'm always learning from my team.
Right.
And it's a great environment, the boardwalk.
Awesome. I love
I was
that.
gonna say, it sounds like a whole vibe.
It is. You're kind of missing out. I'm not gonna lie.
My bad.
Down in Connecticut,
My bad.
where they have no good seafood.
Well, when you invite me to come make TikToks, I will come.
Okay. He'll be our new prop. Speaking of TikToks, I'm gonna
This
give a
is
little
my favorite
backstory
part.
here.
This is my favorite part.
I'm gonna give a little backstory here, and this is gonna sound cliche, and I know I've told it a few times, but I feel like often a lot of people before their stardom, before their success, there is like some sort of backstory. So I had started TikTok probably, I want to say about 7 or 8 months right before COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, obviously everyone was home. So in a sad tone, I kind of benefited from the fact that everyone was on their phone. And in the midst of that, as I was building my following, I started realizing like, oh, I could make a career doing content here. And initially the intent was to only build a following or some sort of strategy for my acting career. It wasn't really to become a content creator. And then as I created characters, as I tried new content and I kind of put it out there and I was getting a good reception from people, that's when I realized I was like, I might be able to do this. And actually, you guys were the first people to reach out to me and ask if I would be willing to work because I'd had my first viral video. You guys found out that I was from Rhode Island and you're like, oh, this would be like a cool way, which is again, a testament to the fact that you are, ears to the ground and the fact that with marketing strategies, how to pivot, how to try new things. The funny thing is I was too nervous the first time. So I came in, I took a meeting with Dave and his team, and they were filled with like great words, and my creative buzz came out, and they were just like,
Great words.
Yeah, they were so kind. They had like all these nice things to say about me. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I've never collaborated with someone. So I was hesitant. So then another about 3 or 4 months goes by. Unemployment had now stopped. I no longer was receiving unemployment after losing my job, and it was time for me to go back to work. So I actually took a job at a small slots casino working part-time because it was kind of one of those things where I was like, okay, I guess the content thing isn't going to work out. I had probably about 500,000 followers on TikTok. I had about 30 or 40,000 on Instagram. And I was like, I don't know how the brand deals work. I'm not really getting any offers. Maybe this isn't for me. I got to go back to working in acting. Let me get a part-time job. And right when I did that, you guys followed up and said, Ian, we're still thinking about you, man. We would love to work with you. And my fiance was like, Ian, I think you're overthinking it. I think you got to go in and you got to give it a try.
Yes, I did say that.
Yeah.
I did say that. I did say those exact words.
Kate found you on TikTok and Molly, one of the girls in the office.
Shout out
and
Kate and Molly, thank you.
Kept coming to me and saying, we gotta change things up, Dave. We can't just keep doing this traditional Valpak and Journal Bulletin ads. Times are changing. So I said, all right, no problem. And I remember the day meeting you, because remember we had the big conference table.
The big table right in the middle.
So I remember when you first came in, I'm like, wow. I was saying after you left, I'm like, he's very calm, and it's not that guy that I seen on TikTok. I don't know, maybe you were a little nervous, but I drilled you a little bit, and I really enjoyed our first conversation. I just knew that, once we started doing things, it was going to be a hit. I never knew I was going to be doing all the crazy stuff. I didn't envision that.
I don't think I really did either, honestly, because, and that's really why, the main reason why I say this is because, I owe my success to you taking a chance on me.
Yes.
Well,
it really is. And I know, and on top of all the amazing things you do, you took a chance on me to kind of represent your brand and kind of bring it to life. And together we were able to curate some of the videos that we did. And after I got that opportunity with you, because I now had solidified an authentic approach to building an audience for another company or brand while simultaneously doing my branding, it was a way for me to present to other companies like, hey, I'm helping this brand. Look at what I'm doing. And since then, my career has skyrocketed. So thank you, Dave.
Big
for
shout out to
giving me
Dave and the team
and helping me create the content.
Well, you're welcome, but thank you too. I mean, it was a great fit for us, and it was a great partnership. I mean, you're like family now.
Exactly. I say it all the time. Every article I have, there isn't an article that I don't try and make sure I mention the people who really took a chance on me. Because again, it sounds cliche, but it was like I was on my last thread. I was about to give up. I had 3 years of TikTok making 4 or 5 a day. I was on my last leg, and I was like, and here's the funny story. When I was working at the casino, I was in security. Again, it's a slots casino, so cute old ladies who lose their dollars, and that's who I'm helping all day. And I'm like, I'm not a slot tech. I'm like a security guard. And a guy comes up to me, and he goes, hey, aren't you the guy that was in the flip-flops in the snow video? And I was devastated, because as much as I loved, he recognized me. I was like, he's like, you work here? And I was like, yeah. And it's no disrespect, but at that point, I'm 28 years old, 29 years old. I thought I'd be in different places in my life. And that was like, oh shit, for me. And I was like, holy smokes. And then again, since then, I have been on a train that's just like going 100 miles an hour, and I love it. So, but it's just kind of my story. It's kind of weird, but I do owe a huge thank you, because I don't think anyone truly gets anywhere in life without helping hands of people who have done it before them. And I'm grateful that you were willing to pause what you were doing, reach back, and allow me to be a part of it. And I have put you through the ringer with some of the craziest ideas and videos. I mean, anyone who has watched our content knows I have been shirtless washing Dave's car. I have dressed him up like a leprechaun. It was me that forced Dave to run out of the ocean, by the way, with the lobsters. We have done.
There's some of these things they got me doing. I don't even know what I'm doing when I get there. They're like, oh, we're doing this today. It's been great. And, even for, I appreciate the compliment. Thank you very much. But, I started like the same way. Like my success and my brand of building it, I never really got into it for the money. I was by a promise, and, the rest is history. I mean, I really enjoy what I'm doing, and I love the fact that I took this one thing, and it was just this little shack, and here we are now, 35 years later,
beautiful
with multiple
story. It really
restaurants.
is.
And, the success came later in life, but a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice, just like you.
Right.
You tell me stories all the time about the sacrifices and the amount of work that you put in. I mean, look at how long it takes you to do some of those videos. People don't see that.
Yeah.
People see the end result, and they're like, yes, they're
That's
successful. And a lot of people miss what it takes to get from
100%.
the beginning to the success. And
100%.
and you can't really explain it to everyone, because they don't some people just don't understand it, but you have a lot of sacrifices too, and I'm very proud of you.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that we're partners.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's been great. How many times I'm in a supermarket and someone's coming up to me like, "Hey, you're the guy with Ian. Yeah. How is that guy in real life?" I go, "Listen, he's great." It's crazy.
Oh my gosh, we have so much fun.
Can confirm 2 things. One, everything he said was absolutely true. And I remember when he first started, and he wasn't really too sure of everything because he wasn't telling me much because he didn't know what to tell me as his best friend. But growing up through the years, it was one of those things where like it was destined to do something that not many people do. Kind of like that niche out of this not 9 to 5 typical job. And one of the things that I am still the most proud of, because he's been doing it now for a while. He's got a great following. Number 1 guy, first guy, still there, still pumping out videos.
Always.
And it's awesome. And I'll
Thank
tell
you.
him, I've always been his biggest critic. I've always been his biggest supporter too. Maybe minus Sheila.
Heavy on the critic.
Yeah, okay. So, but when I see a video that's posted and I get the notification and I click on it and I see either you in it or someone from Iggy's or an Iggy's t-shirt or he's dressed up with I don't know. It's something. And I'm just like, yes, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
I love forwarding those to people because they're you guys can tell you have a great, genuine relationship and you must have so much fun.
We have a lot of fun. We do a lot of clips. We do a lot of cutting.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of bloopers.
I think my favorite part is because Dave is such a busy guy, he's got a lot going on. It's one of those things where he'll come to the back office in the cottage there. He'll open up the door and he'll be, "All right, make sure that this is getting done." And he'll see Ian and be like, "Oh, no, I do not have time for you today, Ian. I am not, I got a lot to do." And I'm just like, "Dave, come on." And then maybe 10 minutes after we start rolling, it's, "How was that take? How are we doing?" And you love it. And it makes my heart smile. It makes me so happy that you enjoy
It's so
enjoy
pure.
it.
It's
But
so pure.
let's be honest here. You were famous before I was famous because you were on Bar Rescue with John Taffer. Tell us about that.
That was a lot of fun. That happened by accident, by the way. My like I said, my tenant was renting from us, and she wasn't doing well. So she wrote a letter to the Bar Rescue to be petitioned, to be auditioned to be on the show.
Yeah,
she
right.
asked my permission. I'm like, yeah, I don't even know the show. I wasn't even watching it back then, but I didn't realize how popular it was. So she got picked out of 6 restaurants in the area, 6 places from like Musquamacut area all the way up to like southern Massachusetts. She got picked. John liked her. And the producers came to me for all the back end stuff. They wanted the history of Oakland Beach, similar to what I just told you.
Yep.
They wanted to know what the deal is with Iggy's, all these lines. They wanted to see pictures. They wanted to see everything. So I gave them everything, all my photo albums. They would call me all the time. So they come to town. It's a big deal because everybody's, they announced it on the news. They rented one of my parking lots to stage their whole area. So one of the producers comes down and says, "Hey, Dave, we'd like to talk to you up at the tent." They had like this tent set up where they would do all their pre-meetings. I'm like, "I gave you guys everything. What more do you need?" They go, "Can you just come up there? We want to talk to you." So I go up there, go in the tent, and here comes John. Comes right up to me. He goes, "I'm John Taffer. How you doing?" He's wicked calm in real life.
Yeah.
He goes, "I want you to be in the SUV with me. You got to be one of my experts for the area." And, I loved everything that, they told me about you and all the knowledge you have. I'm like, well, all right. So I go, "So when we doing this?" He goes, "Now." Yeah. So here we go. And, he put me in there and, it was great. I mean, the show was great. I mean, they helped her out. John in real life is very calm. He's not like that. He's very calm. He's very smart. We hit it off, and we stayed close and friends. Now and then I still hear from their team. He's a great guy. He helped them out, and I didn't realize how popular that show was because after that aired, it like blew up everywhere I went. Seeing you on Bar Rescue. Seeing you on Bar Rescue.
Yeah.
It actually helped Iggy's get busier.
That's awesome.
So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Shout out Taffer Tips.
Vin is a fan of yours because my producer here, Vin, who's behind the camera, he was a huge fan of Bar Rescue. So when we were younger, we would all used to hang out at Vin's house and we would all like watch TV. And that was like the show that he always turned on. So he was like, "Wait, this is Dave from the SUV, the Iggy's guy?" He's like, screw your videos. I want to meet the guy from Bar Rescue. Isn't that right, Vin?
True story.
Thanks, Vin. But it was great. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. A lot of work goes into that too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can only imagine. I've
Absolutely.
heard some stories, but can only imagine what that kind of production looks like.
Yeah.
we did another one too years ago. We were on Unsolved Mysteries. I don't know if you ever remember the Emery case.
Wait a minute.
I know I might have not have told you about this.
How
Ian.
do I not know
See,
this?
this is a-
I know everything.
Shout
This
out.
was when we
Put
had the
it like
shack.
that little noise.
So here's how that happened. This was, I say this was maybe 1995. It was still the shack, no boardwalk. Narragansett wasn't open yet. Rocky Point with the Emery cases was they went to Rocky Point Clam Shack, got takeout, and then they jumped off the Newport Bridge and killed themselves
Oh,
because they were on trial for some murder or something like that.
gotcha.
So Rocky Point wouldn't shut down. So they approached me and said, will you shut down? We want to pay you to shut down. We weren't making a lot of money back then. I said, we'll shut down. So we shut down and they filmed the whole episode with us, serving them the clam cakes. And then, they went to the Newport Bridge and did it. And that actually helped Iggy's too. I mean, another episode we were in and it, helped us get to
Exposure,
where we
huh?
are.
I was going to say,
Exposure.
Yeah.
Very important.
yeah, being open-minded, no matter what opportunity prevails.
Absolutely.
Shows up at your front door, take it. That's
There you go.
awesome.
That is so cool. I did not know that.
I didn't know that
How did
either.
I not know that? We'll have a meeting after this meeting, David.
Yeah, well, you knew about the calamari ninja too. My chef John Buderi, he was on the National Democratic Convention, the Democratic National Convention.
Okay.
They showcased every state, the Democratic Party, every state in the country's famous food and stuff. So they featured Rhode Island with the calamari.
Yeah.
So they filmed us with my chef, and we're on national TV, and we got a lot of exposure for that.
Yeah.
There's just certain things in life you don't know what's gonna blow up and what's gonna
Right.
work,
No,
and then
right.
for my brand, everything that we're doing seems to help it, and all
That's
these
awesome.
crazy things we do help bring in more people because
Right.
if people are curious
are.
about different types of things you're doing.
And you continue to pivot, which is why we can segue here into you have a food truck. How awesome. And I know that you happen to have some local Rhode Island celebrities calling you for their engagement party. So tell me about the food truck. How did that get started? Shout out Kate. I know she was a huge part of
Kate
that.
was a huge, this food truck.
Yeah.
For like maybe, I don't know, Kate's been with me now 10 years, 10, 11 years. Maybe like on her third year, she kept talking about food trucks. You need to get a food truck. Because she worked in Boston too. So a lot of the places she would, go for lunch, there's food trucks.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't have time for this food truck. So, finally, a few years ago, we said, okay, we're going to do the food truck. We researched a bunch of places and we narrowed it down to 2. And then we went to Indiana where we purchased a big truck and they built it from the bottom up. It's a brand new truck. And we wanted to, with the food truck, we wanted to bring the staple items: chowder, clam cakes, doughboys, fish and chips, lobster rolls. Bang. Anywhere in the state. Graduations, birthdays, weddings. So I was like, okay, we finally launched it last year, the truck. We got it. We got it all ready in the winter, but we launched it in May. But I said, listen, we're not going out. Like, I want to take my time with this. So we would only do little food truck events at the beginning.
You're at Taste of Rhode Island. I remember seeing it there. That was a
we
good
would do little ones just to get, our feet wet. I was like, I got to make sure everything's perfect. And, then July and August, we booked a lot of events. I mean, we actually booked for Olivia Copel, and that was great. Her
And Christian McCaffrey,
and Christian-
CMC.
best
Christian
running back in the
McCaffrey.
NFL, Super Bowl. He
Super,
lost, but he
super-
was in the Super Bowl. But
super great family, super people. Olivia's been coming to Iggy's, since she was a little girl, and we
Right.
became friends. And she's been really loyal to the Iggy brand too. So it's been, it's been great.
right.
But the food truck is like a phenomenon. You know how
Right.
it is. Everyone with these food trucks everywhere,
Not everyone wants you.
and it's been great. I mean, we've already got like 70 bookings for this year.
Right.
Wow.
For this year.
And
so
my
you're gonna be
goal-
at like the St. Mary's Feast again this year? You doing that?
We're
or-
going to be at some of the feasts, but we're doing a lot of private parties and a lot
Nice.
of corporate
Nice.
parties. Like if somebody wants to have it for their whole company, we'll bring it there. If somebody wants it for anniversary, birthday, graduation, we'll do that.
Nice.
We can tailor the food truck, which is great about the food truck is we don't just have to do those items. If somebody says, well, we want burgers and hot dogs, we'll do it. If someone says they want a raw bar, we'll set up the whole raw bar outside the truck where we're shucking clams, shucking oysters,
Amazing.
and then giving them chowder and clam cakes.
Okay.
If you have a wedding, we could do chowder and clam cake shooters.
Ooh.
So, I mean, it's very versatile. And for me,
I'm starving.
This is such a hard one to do.
we should have brought food in.
We should have had that on display.
Episode 2, we will have all the food.
I didn't realize, how busy that would get too. Like that's really taken off. And what's really good about the food truck, Ian, we can bring it to Providence. We can bring it to Cranston. We bring Iggy's to you.
That's huge.
And it's phenomenal because we're seeing other areas where we might want to open up.
right.
So that's been really good for us.
Yeah, I was going to say, it gives you a chance to get out there and really do some legwork that you probably wouldn't have had the time to do, but because you're already out there with the food truck, you're able to scope it out, see some stuff, do that, put yourself out there.
Are you willing to how far are you guys willing to travel with that? Are you willing to go across state borders? You into like southeastern Massachusetts or anything?
Yeah, we've gone as far as Fall River.
Okay.
We'll go to like the tip of Connecticut. We'll do southern Massachusetts. I mean, Kate wants to take it to Florida next year, so maybe it'll be in Florida.
Kate's always got the biggest ideas out of everybody.
So, and that might be a good idea. To be honest, that might be a great thing because
should
I
be.
want to open up in Florida. That
Right.
is somewhere that I would think would do phenomenal.
I think we have a road trip planned now. Did you just invite me?
Yeah,
You
Ian,
felt that, right? It felt like an
I
invite.
have
you're
PTO
coming.
to use.
I'm a great
so-
driver, so
You're
you
coming.
can take a nap in the back, and I will bring that. Can we cook while we're going, though? Because think about the time we're going to save. Instead of having to take bathroom breaks, we'll just rotate, let it go out the window, and then we're eating while we're cooking and eating the whole. That way, we'll never have to stop. And we can break a Guinness World Record while we're there. See, look,
Some
we're always
ideas
thinking
are better
marketing.
left.
What's that?
Some ideas are better left unsaid.
Okay. Well, anyways, I thought that was going to be a good
But
idea.
Ian, when we do go, you're coming.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to. So, my gosh, you've got so many items, right? Everyone knows I only do white clam chowder.
Is there another chowder?
Manhattan red. Some people that I know mix red and white. There's a name for it, right?
Long Island.
Long Island?
So you got Manhattan red chowder.
Yep.
New England white.
Yep.
And when you mix them, it's Long Island. So it's
which
in the
is-
middle.
Right. And then there's Rhode Island, which is like clear.
Rhode Island clear is just basically what you're saying. It's
like
potatoes and a little bit of celery, clear, rich broth, and fresh clams.
Yeah. Well, I'm not convinced. I mean, you said rich and you held your hands like this, but white chowder only. That's
White chowder for Ian. He does not
that's all
like
we're gonna
red.
do. Okay, so you have those options. Now, here's the thing. I often, because of my ability to reach a broad audience, which I'm incredibly grateful for, when I talk about doughboys, people are like, what are doughboys?
Yeah.
Now, like some people, I'm going to butcher this, but in the Portuguese call them like moldaçadas or something like that. I think I'm getting that. I might be screwing that
Close
up.
enough.
And then, you go to a carnival and you see fried dough, but it's not the same because the fried dough that they have is like super thin and too much. So explain to everyone that isn't familiar just how fluffy and soft and delicious and sugary. And I'm going to keep going.
It's all right.
So,
Relax.
So
doughboys.
you'll also see funnel cakes when you go to the carnival.
Oh yeah, funnel cakes. That's
which
what
is very similar to that crunchy doughboy that's not ours.
You're right.
So our doughboys, one of the magic things that happen at Iggy's, and one of the reasons why the dough is so good is because the dough's being made all day long.
Right.
It's not like we make the dough in the morning and you're getting the dough at 7:00 at night. Chances are when you get there, the dough is only an hour and a half old. That's it.
Right.
So we're making the dough all day long. It's our own secret recipe. It's nice and fluffy. They're about the size of your palm. They're about 1.5 inches thick, full of air.
say.
They're nice and light.
Yep.
My favorite is with sugar and cinnamon. You can also get them with powdered sugar or regular sugar. Some of our customers want them plain, and they want to put red sauce
Talk
on.
dirty to me, Dave. My gosh. This is unbelievable. Oh, that sounds so good.
Yeah, so they're definitely different than the crunchy kind of doughboys that you might be used to at a carnival.
Okay.
And we sell them by the half dozen and a dozen.
Ooh.
So you get 6 or 12, or you can get 3.
Yeah. Well, don't do 3. Don't be a quitter. If you're going to do it, do it.
Go for the
Half
dozen.
a dozen or go for a dozen. I always go for a dozen for my warm up. Then I have my clam cakes and chowder, and then I finish with another dozen. That's the way I do it.
It's very fair.
Do you have a favorite food, Dave? I mean, you got a lot of food. You're in the cooking industry. You've been around it forever. But do you have a favorite menu item of your own?
At Iggy's, my go-to at the Shacks is a cheeseburger.
Love
with
it.
fried onions.
Ooh, the Iggy burger.
Yeah.
Similar to that?
It's just like that.
You told me I had to try it once, and I did. And now I'm like craving it all the time. And I don't know if you're not getting my texts. I'm texting you like daily. I'm like, Dave, where's my Iggy burger? I don't know. It's weird. Sometimes my texts don't go through, but
That's my go-to without the peppers. I like it both ways. I like it with the peppers, but for my go-to, it's fry well done, and it's a cheeseburger with fried onions.
Oof.
And that's that burger that's made for us in Providence at Portia Meats.
Oh, I love that.
And soon to be in supermarkets.
Oh,
So
wow.
you know how my products are in all the supermarkets.
Yes. No, we need like a better. I keep doing like the breaking news, but let's like something cool like that.
What do you think, Chens?
Maybe we just.
Get that going.
I was gonna say
Maybe we'll make our own.
maybe
We can have you chef something out.
I might be.
Chef Chens. So I'm gonna self-plug myself here.
Oh
for
yeah,
a
do it
second.
up.
I had the very similar route in life that you did. My first job was a paper boy.
You own
hold
a
on,
restaurant?
Hold on. You don't interrupt.
Oh, you were a paper boy.
I was.
Yeah, 'cause
I
you
only
made-
had one street though. I didn't get to 10. And my first job in Mesquamaket was a seafood shack.
Oh, that's right.
So I spent, and just in case I ever lose my job, Dave, this is my resume builder.
Okay, we'll
7
take you.
years of my going into young adult life. I was a runner, dishwasher, kitchen manager of a seafood shack down in Mesquamaket.
Oh wow.
And I can't tell you how many times I would kind of try and do similar things to what you did, go out, talk to people, run stuff out, whatever it was, cleaning up, tidying up. Everyone knew what Iggy's was. They would be sitting there eating our food and everyone would still know what Iggy's was. And they had all the comparisons in the world, which was great. I won't name drop because they no longer exist for a reason. It's not way later after I left, so it wasn't my fault. But I couldn't
downfall.
believe how much, even with Mesquamaket being right on the water, all those restaurants down there, from Seaside Beach, the private beach, all the way to the other side of State Beach, and people still talked about Iggy's. So I'm saying that because I just want you to know how awesome Iggy's, not that you need me to tell you because you've heard enough, but that says a lot. Because Westerly people, they're in their southern little corner for a reason.
Right.
And Mesquamaket's just as bad.
It's been great. I mean, the popularity has been incredible, and I appreciate, the compliment. It's really, for me, it's so rewarding.
Right.
That, some of the success, too, of the Iggy's is all the products being in all the supermarkets. We're in 230 supermarkets around New England.
That's huge.
and with that happened by accident. I'm going to tell you how this started happening.
Yeah, okay.
Here's another
I
story
love
for
these
you,
accidents
Ian.
that you're having here.
So in the shack, people would come to me. Customers would say, Dave, we'd like to buy your fish mix. We want to buy your clam cake mix. We want to make them at home, or we want to bring them to Florida. We'll add our own clams. We'll add our own clam juice. So I started selling 1 pound bags of flour, and then I would make them up into 1 pound bags, and I would put stickers on it with Iggy's.
Yeah.
Iggy's. It was a fish mix, and then it was a clam cake mix. My brother and my sister, my sister said, I don't know, Dave, this is crazy. So I said, no, people are going to buy it. It's going to be like a souvenir. They're just going to take it.
Yeah.
And they're going to bring it home, and even if they don't use it.
Yeah.
So that's how that started.
Yeah.
And then we started, then I had it produced for me. I had it, a company bag them for me. Now it's gotten so big that we do it all at the property in Oakland Beach.
Yeah.
We box our own dough mix and pizza mix,
Yep.
our fish and our seafood mix, our clam cake mix, and we also sell our canned clams and our chowder in all the markets. Wow, and that's why I said soon to be the burgers.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a big one. Because I've personally seen it. When I worked in banking, they were all in the supermarkets.
Oh, that's right, because you were like in store.
Yeah, it was one of the in-stores, right.
Yep.
So worked at Citizens a long time ago, but we were always in a supermarket. We worked in Stop and Shop. So wandering the aisles was kind of like a thing to do. Iggy's was always there.
Yep.
And it was always something.
My father, who is from, obviously, Rhode Island, he's down in Texas and he lived in Florida. And anytime he came up to see me, literally right over to Stop and Shop or wherever the you're in
Dave's Market. We're in
Dave's
all the
Market
Dave's.
as well, right? So immediately goes right there. You go to that Rhode Island rack, and my dad would grab all the clam cake mix, all the and because my dad cooked for many years, and he's a bit of a chef himself, so he would literally buy all Iggy's product, go back home,
awesome.
and he would do his own clam cakes and chowders and all that stuff. Sorry, Dad, never as good. But I'm just saying he didn't have the nice finesse and technique that you got, down pack over there.
It's been great, and we have all these like little buckets that we have. We got the shack, you got the boardwalk, you got the
Right.
supermarkets, you got the food truck, and they all help each other,
Yeah.
and they all play off of each other.
Yeah.
So it's been really good.
I was gonna say you can tell you have a great team because that's a lot for just one person to do. So to keep everything, I was gonna say I saw
Kate's
it
over
over the
there
corner of
making
my
faces.
So good for you again too. That's really awesome. You and your team do a great job because that is a lot for a team to do in general. But for
It's
says
a lot of work. It's
Yeah.
a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of hours. But we love what we do, and I'm fortunate and lucky to have every one of them. Like I said earlier, without the team, you can have the best idea in the world if you can't implement it. It's just an idea.
I was gonna say, I wanted to at some point say if you had any advice for people who wanted to own a business in the state of Rhode Island or a restaurant, but I feel like you've organically kind of sprinkled that in, talking about having an amazing team, capitalizing opportunities, taking risk, working really hard, and stuff like that. Anything else you would have?
I was gonna say willingness to learn too because
Right, yeah,
you said that they can teach you sometimes, and a lot of people don't say that.
And you can't ever stop learning. I'm a huge fan of reading books about business. I'm a huge Disney fan, and that's actually helped me get my buildings branded the way I want. I'm a huge Disney fan, and I've learned a lot from them. But your team has to be. I don't want to be yes. I love to hear what they have to say. If they don't agree with me on something, at the end of the day, if I make a decision, they respect me, and that's it. But you need a team, a diversified team, different personalities, different experiences, and that's what we have. So my advice to anybody, first off, if you're going to open a restaurant, it's a sacrifice. It's a lot of hours. If you think you're going to go to every baseball game or dance recital with your kids, it's not happening. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of time, but you need great people around you. And that's the best advice I can give you. Love what you do and have the best team around you, because without that, it's going to be very hard to grow.
I love that.
That's awesome.
And so when you're not working, I don't know if you have an off switch, but if you do, what do you like to do? You have any hobbies? How do you unwind? What is your version of not working?
For me, not working, if I can get to Disney, I love it. I love going to the parks, but one thing I love movies. So if I'm not working, or if there's a really good movie coming out, I want to see it. I want to be in the theater with the popcorn. I'm a huge superheroes fan. So
Who's your favorite superhero?
Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But I kind of like Wonder Woman. I love it. I really do. I really think the movie was great. But I'm a huge Superman fan too.
Dave, we are one and the same here.
Twinsies.
I mean,
I was gonna say, yeah.
I love that. I'm the same. Superman definitely my favorite. See, you had like a knack for acting all along. You're a big movie buff guy. You love it. Awesome.
Thanks,
okay,
man.
so
Say,
Dave, we
'cause-
have got some questions.
I have one before we get into that.
Oh,
real
okay.
quick.
Oh, I love that. Let's
This
see what
was
you
one
got.
I have to know because you've done so many. If you could pick one video that you and Ian did, what would you say was your favorite to do?
I actually, this last one we did, me being dressed up as a leprechaun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost didn't do it.
I'm
So
glad you
I was
did.
like, come on, you guys, what are you trying to make a movie here?
Yeah.
So that's one of my favorites. And it took us, it didn't really take us that much time, but I didn't, I wasn't so sure I wanted to do it, but then I did it. Then we're walking around the dining room and, we just have a lot of fun. I mean, almost all the videos, I love them all.
Yeah.
They're all different.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's been another one that I really loved. I loved watching him sleeping in the walk-in freezer too.
Yes. Those
When he
ones are the
disappeared.
best. I love those. I was going to say my personal favorite one is when you introduced the food truck
Yeah.
and you washed it.
And I was sleeping on the inside. You're saying?
No.
Oh, I washed the car.
I'm sorry, the car.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
I
Because
washed the car.
you got into it with the hose, and I'm sure it was refreshing that day.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
Kate wants me to wash the truck next, so look out for that one, folks.
people stop when we're doing these videos. People just stop and watching us.
I feel bad for Dave because he doesn't
doing.
know that I don't have like that. That's like, here's like a fun fact about like RJ and I. The reason why he and I really gravitated towards each other the most as best friends is we just don't have that like embarrassing filter.
Oh, no.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. We're guys, we're immature, but when we lived together, when we were 18, we would walk around Walmart just like communicating in screams.
Yeah.
He'd be like, when I'm like, where are you? He'd be like, ah!
Yeah.
And that's how we would find each other. So I just like, everyone's like crowding around wondering what's going on. I'm pouring soap on me. And poor Dave is just like, this is like my restaurant. Like, you can see in his face, like, what has my life? Like, I have these 3 amazing businesses. I have a success. And my marketing team has got me with Ian, who's in flip-flops, a sweatshirt, pouring Dells and soap water on himself and washing his car with my body.
Love it.
But
Love it.
we have a lot of fun.
We have a lot of fun.
I think my favorite actually was the Christmas one we did this year. When I got you to dress up as Santa Claus and I pretended like I kidnapped you and I had you stuck in the freezer. I had a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah.
I thought that one was really funny.
They really are.
We always have a good time.
You do a good job too. Give yourself credit.
Thank you.
People
Because
love
you
it.
generally look
People
like you're
love
having
it.
a good time. You could see it.
People love it.
That's awesome.
It's
Okay.
it's
Sorry.
fun.
I had
All
to
right,
ask.
so
I had to get that out.
We got quite a few fan questions, but I tried to go with the 2 most popular. So people wanted to know if you'd be willing to share any secret ingredients from your chowder or doughboys. Do you have a secret ingredient?
One thing about the chowders that's unique to probably, only a few places that do it this way. All our chowders, believe it or not, all start off with different bases.
Okay.
So once you start a clear, it can't be a red.
Right.
Once you start a white, it can't be a red or a clear. They all have different bases from the beginning. They all have fresh clams in it. All have fresh clams, fresh clam juice, great seasoning. But I would say like one of the things that's so important is the chowder's made all day long.
Fresh.
So it's fresh. If you're getting chowder, it's usually whatever would be left over, it's gone the next day within 2 hours.
Right.
So that's part of the secret ingredient, just like the dough.
Right.
Just like the clam batters. It's being made fresh produce, fresh clams, and that's a big part of the magic.
Yeah.
Even our produce, all our potatoes, it comes from a local purveyor, Robert's Produce. I'll give him a shout out.
Yeah.
No chemical in the potatoes, no chemical in the produce. Everything's dead on.
Love it.
No chemical. Especially a lot of places, you can buy clams that have like, they're absorbed with tripoly or they have other enhancers in it. Mine, no chemical. It's very important. So that's
Fresh,
one of the
healthy,
secrets.
good ingredients. And I've seen it firsthand because I've been in the back of that kitchen when people are slanging dough and making everything nice and fresh in the back. And, I have accidentally gotten flour all over myself.
So red
happened
chowder is not just marinara sauce and white chowder.
No.
No, that's like
It's probably why it
But
closed
some-
down.
Marinara
That's
sauce.
probably
a lot
why
of-
it closed down.
A lot of places.
mozzarella stick dip.
A lot of places will take a white chowder before they put the cream in it. Just going to throw tomato in it. That can be done, but we don't do it that way. It
That's
starts
how
off.
I always thought the difference in the chowders was because it was red and it's like, well, you got the white, just add the red, like that's all it was.
The person who owned the shack down in Mesquamicut is now finding out that RJ was putting marinara sauce in their red chowders. He's like, they closed down after me. It wasn't me.
Yeah, whoops.
He taught everyone there, just put marinara sauce in it. It'll be fine.
Not true. That is not on my resume, Dave.
And another question that came in from our good friend Laura. Shout out Laura from Buns and Bites, episode 1.
Laura.
We've also worked together with Laura.
She's great too.
She wants to know how many clam cakes you can eat in a sitting.
Well, good question.
And are you a dipper? Do you dip inside the chowder, or do you just go?
No, I'm a dipper.
Some people
I'm
raw
actually,
dog the clam cakes.
I rip them in pieces and throw them in there. So then the chowder, because my favorite
So
chowder is
good.
red.
Ooh,
And I know
okay.
you don't like red, but my
Yeah.
favorite chowder is my mother's recipe. It's the red chowder. It has a little kick to it. It has fresh plum tomatoes in it. It's out of this world. But I rip the clam cakes and I put them in, and the clam juice soaks into them, and it's just delicious. I would say 4 or 5 clam cakes. I don't know if I can do a half a dozen.
Okay. How many think you could do?
Oh, it doesn't.
Easy, right?
Easy.
Yeah.
As long as I have the creamy chowder and a little bit of tartar. Just a little bit, not a lot.
White New England clam chowder?
Yeah, the creamy white, yeah.
Yeah. Well, just say that. Why?
I'm sorry, it was an accident.
Creamy, like
Clearly in my seafood restaurant,
I'm just saying, like we got like a
etiquette, it was-
professional here. You couldn't like prepare yourself.
I was
You're
not
gonna say
prepared.
creamy?
My bad.
Jesus.
That's why they closed down. I need to go to Iggy's to
Marinara
learn
sauce
better.
and creamy. This guy, I don't know. He sold himself pretty well before, but you're really taking a step back there.
You got to remember, I'm around it. I'm around it all day long. So I'm always making, I'm always trying, tasting, making sure everything's right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a little different for someone like me that's around clam cakes and chowder and doughboys all day long.
Right. I taste test your product too. You don't know that. My favorite thing to taste test is your ice cream, because the creamery that should be opening soon here, I'm assuming.
Next weekend
We got the creamery opening, and I just go in there and I just take a little spoonful of all the ice creams, make sure that they're nice and fresh, not too cold. You don't want that bitter taste. Every time I do that, Kate comes in and she kicks me out. But I'm looking out for the customers. I need to make sure that they know. Also, I don't think you've had this before, but you can get 2 tiny little mini doughboys and they make ice cream sandwiches with it, like a doughboy sandwich. It's unbelievable.
Are you free Saturday?
Yeah.
I'm free any day for doughboys and ice cream. Actually, I'm leaving tomorrow on vacation, but I will be back.
Should have lied to me.
Sorry.
We try to incorporate, everything, together. Like the doughboy sandwiches, great. Doughboy Sunday, doughboy bites.
Yeah.
In the boardwalk, we do mini doughboys for one of the desserts, and it comes with the hot fudge and caramel and cinnamon butter. So,
You are serenading me. I did not know that you were smooth like that. Move over, Jamie Dornan, huh? 50 Shades of Hungry I am looking at you right now, Dave.
Goodness.
My goodness.
Thanks, Ian.
Oh my goodness.
Awesome. Okay, well, one last thing. What is on the agenda? What do we got moving forward? What is any more expansion? Any new ideas? I know I've got plenty of marketing ideas. I just need to lock you down in the office and start shooting with you. But where is what's next for you?
What next is right now we're going into our busy season.
Yep.
So making sure all the restaurants have enough management, enough team members in there, and making sure everything's efficient in all 3 restaurants and the creamery. And also bringing the food truck. Right now we have 70 something events booked. We'd like to get to 100.
Okay.
That's going to actually help us decide where our next Iggy's will be.
Oh, okay.
So that's where we're at right now. And like I said earlier, pretty soon you're going to be able to buy the burgers. Right. And a few of our other products that we're developing to be in the markets too. So right now it's just about getting through this busy season that's going to be coming our way.
Absolutely. And fingers crossed that it's extra busy. Hopefully we get some good weather, good sunshine, that it's active. Don't forget, guys, there is a gazebo bar. There is ice cream. You are down on Oakland Beach, which is in the process of getting a good renovation right now. So there's going to be a lot of things to do and see over there. How can we convince them to change it to Iggy's Beach, Dave's Beach? I think Oakland Beach is kind of outdated. I think you need to. I'll figure that out, because a lot of people know that I am running for governor. So at some point I will figure out a way. First order of business.
We have to go talk to the mayor.
What would you like, Dave's Beach or Iggy's Beach?
I like Iggy's.
Okay, Iggy's Beach.
Nailed it.
That's it. That's what we're going to do. All right, Dave. Give everyone your schedules. When are your businesses open, start to close, locations? What are we looking at moving forward with that?
Both clam shacks are open daily at 11 a.m. The creamery opens next week, and the boardwalk, the full-service sit-down restaurant, opens daily at 11:30.
Right.
We are accepting reservations for Mother's Day right now.
Okay.
And it's always summer at Iggy's.
Yes, it is. All right, guys. Well, that is going to conclude episode 3 here with Dave from Iggy's. And as always, guys, thank you very much for tuning in and watching the So New England podcast. I am your host, Ian. You are joined by my bestie here, RJ. And
thanks,
let's not forget,
appreciate it.
Life's better in New England, and it's always summer at Iggy's.
It's always summer at Iggy's, and thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right.